It's always sad when a national institution like the Royal Air Force gets pulled down in the media, but seemingly, of course, a lot of it is not their doing or indeed their wrongdoing. When you think about the RAF, many of us, of course, think about the splendid work that they did in protecting this wonderful country during the Second World War. And of course, for films, as I've said before, like 633 Squadron and The Dam Busters with Richard Todd. Recently they were in the news once again for all the wrong reasons, because they were on a diversity recruitment drive and apparently, and as ever we have to say allegedly, told to push people through even if they weren't necessarily right for the position. But more importantly, they had to have their quota for the diversity tick box. That's how bad things have become, even in the armed forces. Let's not forget, of course, they put on a magnificent display at the recent funeral of our late and wonderful monarch, Queen Elizabeth II. But it's this breaking story that's really getting some heat for the RAF. And it all really centres upon our own national security. As ever, let me explain. According to reports, 30 former RAF pilots are being paid up to £250,000 each to train the Chinese to shoot down Western aircraft in a possible threat to national security. British fighter pilots are indeed training the Chinese to shoot down, as I say, the Western aircraft. Apparently so far there's around about 30 ex-RAF pilots that have moved over to China after securing these very exclusive contracts. The former British pilots will be paid an initial £50,000 for joining and a further £200,000 on completion of course, their full training. According to sources and due to legal loopholes, there is nothing that the armed forces can do to prevent this Beijing brain drain, a potential threat, as I say, to our national security. Many more top Royal Air Force pilots have been approached by intermediaries acting on behalf of the People's Liberation Army, but allegedly declined the offers. Western officials last night said that Britain was discussing with allies on how best to respond to the issue, as they have similarly been affected. It's not just here though in the United Kingdom. They have been told also that fast jet pilots from Australia and Canada have also been lured to China on these huge and seemingly very lucrative contracts. Not often is it that we get that serious here on the show, but I wanted to share that story with you because over here in Whitehall in London, it's really hotting up. It could become a huge threat, not just here in the United Kingdom, to the rest of the world. But it really goes back to that old adage, doesn't it? That it doesn't matter how loyal or really what you do to train these people. In the end, money wins out. And for £50,000 as a sign-on thing, really in this cost of living crisis, many ex-pilots are jumping to make sure that they can secure what they believe is wealth. But wealth at what cost? Ultimately, they could too very much be caught up in this potential war zone moving forward. As ever, when I know more, you'll know more. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.